Indigenous peoples' identities and continuity as a society is derived from the way they use water. It connects them to the past and provides their subsistence today. Indigenous peoples' right to water is not limited to access to safe drinking water and sanitation. It is closely linked to a range of other rights, including self-determination, subsistence, health, land and resources, and cultural and religious practices. International standards, including the UN Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, recognize Indigenous peoples' right to determine their own priorities for development and to exercise their free, prior, and informed consent regarding activities which may affect their traditional lands and resources, including water. Indigenous peoples also have a vital role in water management because of their knowledge, traditional practices, and relationships to the land. Formal mechanisms must be put in place to recognize Indigenous peoples' traditional knowledge and its contribution towards monitoring, protecting, and conserving water, all of which must be supported by governments, industry, and academic institutions. It is clear that Indigenous tribal people, their unique systems of values, knowledge, and practices have been overlooked in the world water vision process. There's an urgent need to correct the imbalance of mainstream thinking by actively integrating Indigenous women and men in the subsequent phases, starting with the framework for action. This was stated at The Hague in 2000, and we are here in 2011, and people are still fighting for this to be true. Indigenous peoples have responsibilities and obligations in accordance with their laws, traditions, protocols, and customs to protect, conserve, and maintain ecosystems and to ensure the sustainability of the whole environment. However, Indigenous peoples are encountering increasing competition for their scarce water reserves from agricultural plantations and companies specializing in hydroelectricity and mining, as well as the bottling of drinking water. On the front line of perpetrators in the cause of ecosystem collapse is the mishandling of the lands and waters of Indigenous peoples. This collapse includes, but is not limited to, human-induced climate change, severe water quality degradation, extreme stress upon ecologies, and species extinction at an unprecedented rate.
De las organizaciones más representativas para dirigir las movilizaciones por la defensa del agua, que duró varios días.
Muchas gracias por su comentario. So we're so glad that they share discussion, the cracking about water and things like that, and how all the rest of the children, but the Indigenous around the world, are trying to protect them because it will be fair for trade. So 100 children, tune in a little bit more to this show program, but this show Indigenous Forum.
So integral to the issue that we are talking about that I felt it was important for me to share that one bit of information, one bit of teaching that I know is at the very core of the teachings of many Indigenous peoples around the world. Water is that connecting force for all life, and we need to respect it and we need to protect it. So, Madam Chair, this is the intervention that I would like to make on this issue. I've heard so many important interventions on the issue of right, but I wanted also to raise the issue of responsibilities that we have. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. I invite the members of the panel to comment on the speakers. So, Ms. Catarina de Albuquerque.
Thank you. Well, it will be difficult to comment on every single one of the statements that were made, but trying to find something that brings all the statements together and which also brings my work, which approaches my work to your statements, is, well, the call that I made during my intervention, saying that do use the international human rights mechanisms to claim your rights. And of course, we have the Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, but there is a series of other mechanisms, of other special rapporteurs, not only me, but on food, freedom from torture, health, housing, education, etc., cultural rights, which you should use in order to claim your rights. And of course there is the UPR, there are the treaty monitoring bodies, and I think that we can and should be used, that's the reason why we exist, in order to help you in your fight for your human rights. I would also like to make a small point regarding the future. And we know that the world is starting to think about what will happen after 2015. What will be the new global development agenda? And I think that we have to start, and there are talks that have already started regarding the post-2015 scenario. And I think it's very important for you to be involved and for you to demand that water and sanitation are included in the future goals, and that the future goals call for universal access and not just a 50% reduction. Because with the 50% reduction that we have now, we know that your rights are excluded, that you continue to be excluded. So it has to be water and sanitation for all, and calling on states to give priority attention to the rights of those people who are most marginalized, most forgotten, etc., including indigenous peoples. So I think that it's important to start mobilizing ourselves from now in order to get it. And to conclude, I just wanted to say that it was an honor to be here, and that I hope that we continue our collaboration, and I am very happy to continue to work with you in the future. Thank you very much.
I urge therefore the Member States, our main donors, to support the efforts highlighted today, as it secures the direct participation of indigenous peoples in the improvement of their livelihoods and in international and also national policy making involving their issues. Without the donor community, we will not reach far, either in the second decade nor in the full implementation of the UN Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. In closing this event, I wish to thank you all once again, the participating agencies for their support to the event, and of course, the dedication and support to indigenous peoples. I would also like to thank you all, the audience, for the interest you have shown regarding these agencies and our work. Your questions and comments have been most valuable. I would also like to extend finally my thank you and our thank you to the Member States present. Your support, of course, and contribution is fundamental for us all to continue our important work. Thank you for your time.